going?
Cool, here we go. Hey guys, welcome to New Movie Thing Show. I'm Joe Beretta.
I'm Sam Basher.
I'm Lee Newton.
And we watched Interstellar, the space opera via Christopher Nolan, starring Matthew McConaughey, Anne Hathaway, Michael Caine, Wes Bentley, and some people that we can't say.
Yeah,
Right. People we cannot say.
No, I love that. The spoiler here is that there's a spoiler person in it, and that's crazy. I love when people actually show up in movies that you go, didn't fucking know that person.
And there was a couple in this movie that
There's a couple
had
that
no
you had
clue.
no fucking clue.
I wasn't expecting them to do that at all, because I know Christopher Nolan's really, really private and secretive when it comes to his movies, but it's always been about plot. It's never been about characters, and I love that.
Yep.
It was filmed under Flora's Letter for a year, for the whole time it was
the
done.
working title
The
of
working
it.
title
That's
was
cool.
Flora's Letter because his daughter's name is Flora, and because it's about daughters.
And he had to
also
like
because he's
totally
super
abandon his
secret.
daughter for a couple of years to make this movie.
I love that. That is a good point. Where you go like, he's like, oh,
Daddy named the movie after you, sweetie.
Don't worry, babe. She's fine.
I'm not
No?
there, but I am.
Don't worry.
You'll
He's
see.
making so much money for your therapist later.
So let's break it down. The movie is basically this in a nutshell. The world has gone to crap. It's in the near future.
Yep.
There's no more crops growing, and the human race is on the brink of extinction.
Yes, basically.
So where do you go?
So where do you go? Basically, space. And Matthew McConaughey is a pilot. One of the only pilots that can pilot a mission to another dimensional galaxy. They're gonna travel interstellar. I'm really mad. No one got the titular line. We're going interstellar. Okay, cut. Get him out of here. Yes, they're traveling to different worlds to see what is compatible with life on Earth, but it deals a lot with like human emotions and the heartstrings and it's really sciencey. You were saying,
It is. Oh my God,
Sam's a big science boy.
Yeah, I'm a huge science nerd, and I appreciate what Christopher Nolan did with this movie because, trying not to say spoilers, but like he was able to explain relativity in the most general way that's not
That is
being
true.
like, okay, this is relativity, and
Yeah.
here we're gonna explain it, but it's like we're gonna experience it, and you will understand it better.
And to be fair, it wasn't necessarily Christopher or Jonathan Nolan
No.
who was the writer. It
Yeah.
was Kip Thorne.
Yeah,
is
Kip
his
Thorne.
name?
Yeah.
Who is the leading man in that world of relativity and black holes
And it was actually
wormholes
based
and
off
stuff
of
like that.
his theory. The whole film was based off of his
They
theories.
sat down when they were writing it, and they had to be explained everything, and then they're like, okay, how do we make this digestible for a normal person?
Which I think it is like almost like Inception as well. It sparks things in your mind that, for me, like I always love going to movies. It makes me laugh, yada yada yada. But I love feeling insignificant in a very significant way.
Exactly, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
DJ
I love,
said it perfectly.
Yeah.
When DJ, our editor that sometimes does these shows, he said it perfectly. He says, Christopher Nolan is the best director out there that makes stupid people feel smart.
Yes.
Yes. Oh my God, I
Hands
felt so
down.
smart after this. I was
After
like,
this, I was like, yes.
Yeah.
But it also makes you go like, all this stupid bullshit that you're worrying about. At the end of the day, like
Nothing
nothing
matter.
fucking matters.
Except for
Nothing-
love.
Except for love.
Which-
And I will say that was a big
Yeah,
part of
which is the
love
point
and-
that I want to make before we move on to like characters and stuff, is that this movie is science and it's emotion, and if you had to like make the little DNA model of it, it would be science and love just
Yes.
going in
Totally.
and out of one another. So you got your
Totally,
mushiness,
totally.
you've got your science that is right as much as we know, but it's beautiful and it's a fun watch.
And there's gonna be a lot of people that are going like, oh, this isn't this. But the biggest thing that we all agreed about was that like, we're in the space-time continuum. But it's basically just Kermit the Frog. But the
God,
biggest thing
Kermit's
that
a cynical
he's
dude.
such an asshole.
It's like he's got something up his butt.
and this is the most emotional Christopher Nolan movie I've been in.
That is true.
Like Inception had like the moments when he misses his kids, and like that's very heartfelt. But this like it pulled on you. It pulled on your
hard
heart,
on you,
and
yeah.
I teared up. I think like 3 times.
I
at
flat
least.
out cried. Joe did not.
Oh, I cried until I said I did cry. You cried at a certain part. I cried at every other part.
Okay, good. Okay, good. But no, oh, my bracelet, guys. I'm proud.
Aw.
Okay, let's move on to characters.
Yes, characters.
They're all great.
They're all great, and I feel like I think he did a great job in the sense of casting different facets of like, because like there's certain people that were very logical, and there's certain people that are very this and very like that, and I thought that was actually a really good way of casting it, of having these characters, not just casting, but having these characters that you go, oh, like that. This is how these different people would respond in these different scenarios. Side note, I actually, for once in my, I can't believe I'm saying it. It feels awful to say.
I know what
For
you're gonna
once
say.
in my damn life, I didn't find Anne Hathaway atrocious.
I have no idea what these guys' problems are with Anne Hathaway. They just
He reeled her in this movie.
her. She was great in this.
I feel like that's the biggest thing that Christopher Nolan did in this film. It was make Anne Hathaway likable.
I hate her too.
Yeah! Owen hates her too!
He reeled in the broad. She's an actor. She's not an actor.
actor.
She's an actor. They reeled that in a little bit. Okay, so Matthew McConaughey is the everyman.
Phenomenal.
He's
Yes.
the hero.
Phenomenal.
He is great.
He got casted after Mud because they saw him in Mud and he was
Mm-hmm.
like, he can be an everyday
Yeah.
hero.
Then you got Anne Hathaway. She's kind of supporting. She goes along for the ride. Again, not hateable. Michael Caine brings gravitas.
Fucking
and he's
amazing.
Oh,
amazing.
but I just
He's
need to say
amazing.
that is my favorite Michael Caine part in a Christopher Nolan film thus far because he had
was
had
a flawed character.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
Before he was Alfred and he's just like there supporting Batman.
But
in
he is-
Inception he was nothing really. In this he was important.
He's very important.
Um,
and he's just so damn good. There's
Yeah.
a reason why they work together so
Yeah.
well. That he's just so damn good in it.
And then I would say the rest of the kids were great. The rest
Yeah.
of the characters spattered in just functioned as cogs to keep the story moving
Yes,
along.
I would say that
which was
too.
fine. John Lithgow or Lithgow, however you want to do
However
it.
you want to say. I love him.
great.
He's great.
Yeah.
He's great in
He's always
everything.
great.
And
He's
what
always
is
great.
the scientist Wes?
Wes Bentley.
Wes Bentley was great.
Yeah.
He was great.
I think the cast was great. Nobody stole the show. Nobody tried to overact or anything. It was good.
I thought someone did steal
Wait,
the
I
show.
know.
Well, and that's where we're gonna get to.
Yes.
The robot
The
is
fucking
amazing.
robot.
Yes, the robot is
The
amazing.
robot is amazing in it. It's played by Mr. Noodle
Bill Irwin.
from Sesame Street, who voices it.
Mm-hmm.
But I honestly I was so empathetic to that character. I was just like,
You fall in love with him.
His Tars is his name, and you
Tars.
just fall in love with him. And it's a fucking square.
Yep.
It's a square.
It's a walking
It's a
square.
walking
Yeah.
square. And you're
Christopher
like,
Nolan makes you fall in love with a
a
square.
walking square.
It's just the shape, and he is the funniest
He's
part
the
of this
funniest
movie.
part of the movie. He's the most human, and maybe that's the part of it, guys. The robot is the most human part of this movie.
Well, I wouldn't necessarily agree with that.
Guys,
That's not the point.
go down this wormhole with me.
Okay, speaking
No,
of
we're
wormholes.
Speaking of
wormholing.
wormholes.
Speaking of
Yeah.
wormholes, let's talk about some of the visualization. The
Yes.
space in it was
Oh man.
amazing.
Yeah.
And it's easy to. I don't want to say it's easy to make space look good, but it's easy to make space make your mind
Look,
go.
yeah.
Oh wow, and make you filled with wonderment. But what's really interesting about this is that they brought in Kip. And he sat down with the visual artists,
Yeah.
with the special effects team on this film, gave him all his equations from over the years, and had computer-generated models of the wormhole that's in the movie and the black hole come out. And Christopher Nolan was like, "I'm the director. If they suck, I'm going to take artistic license with them. I'm going to change up what the computers say they look
Yeah.
like." They didn't. So, as far as our human knowledge can understand at
Yes.
this point,
This
from
is the
what
first
I
time
understand,
Yeah,
that
no,
we're
from what we
seeing
got.
what this would look like.
this is what they think it
Yeah.
would look like, and it's really really cool.
I always
That's
like
pretty
looking up,
earth-shattering.
like I like looking at those like dumb simulations they have of like, oh, this is how big the universe
yeah,
is, and
yes.
it's kind of dumb, but it's cool. Like it like I don't know,
Makes you feel insignificant and very important.
And
I
this
know.
just blew my mind open because you've never seen this before.
Yes.
This movie has things that you
Yeah.
will never see, ever.
Yeah.
Ever. And so that's at least worth seeing for that.
And I will say at the end of the day too that we were talking about it a little bit, but it is still a story. It's still so whether or not it's actually right and whether or not you actually believe in what it's trying to say, it's still a very excellent story that is told in that way, and it's groundbreaking ways. I mean, even the cinematographer retooled an IMAX camera to film the indoor stuff. All of it, hardly any of it. I don't think any of it was CGI. They said they didn't want any CGI. So the worlds that you see spinning outside of the astronaut thing are actually some guy on a fucking prop thing spinning it, and it's really crazy because we defer to that stuff so immediately now. It's on 70 millimeter. It's kind of crazy. It's filmmaking again.
Space was great. The worlds that they travel to, I don't want to say too much
Phenomenal.
about them because
No, you don't want
you
to,
would
yeah.
spoil some really cool moments. Really fun, inventive, imaginative, but also show you why we would even consider going to them, which I
Yeah.
thought was interesting.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the day, I would say, as far as visualizations go and the incorporation of science and stuff, it's like, look, you have to sit into this. You have to go into this going, I'm watching a movie.
Yeah.
Yes, you have to.
Which means you can be on board or not on board with the science up to one point, but at some point you're just gonna have to suspend your disbeliefs and just go for the ride.
Yeah.
Because at some point we're gonna let's say up to a certain point in the movie the science is 100% correct or not. It doesn't matter because our limited knowledge, our
Yeah.
human brains can only go so far. So at some point you're going to have to just have a little bit of faith in the story and
Yeah.
be okay with things maybe being wrong, things maybe being a little too emotional or mushy, but if you do that and you just go to enjoy a movie, you're gonna go on a fun space odyssey.
Yeah.
Space honesty.
I only had one gripe, and it's one minuscule gripe, but it just has to do like near the end of the movie, and I think that's where a lot of other people kind of like lose it. But it doesn't bother me. It doesn't, and like I still enjoy the movie. It's one of my favorite movies because of it's something you've never seen before.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
Beautiful.
On IMDb, they gave it a 9.2 out of 10. Critics are saying like interesting things.
Critics on Rotten Tomatoes are around like a 70%,
Yeah.
71, 72%, and the audience is around about a 91, 92%. One last thing that I'd like to touch on before we go is that my favorite book is The Sparrow, and it deals with time relativity, space travel, what happens when somebody on this planet goes to somewhere else and then comes back. What I loved about this movie, and I don't think it's been dealt with too much in other cinema, is how human emotions and the brain would react once and if we ever do get to interstellar travel, about how relativity would screw with our brains and our emotions. Leaving your family to come back to them being older than you. Leaving your family to know that you're gone for, let's say, an hour, but they've aged 3,000 years. Like,
you miss. It's oh god.
It's
you're
a
right.
mind. It's a good emotional exercise
Twist
and
on
a
what your
mind
mind
app,
would do. Yeah,
right?
exactly.
And I love that the story dealt with it, and it made me feel weird. It made me feel sad. It made me feel like I felt it all. And just like Benjamin Button, you know how like it messes with you, like you try to empathize and sympathize, but you can't because you can't be in that situation watching like your lover die in your arms.
Yeah.
Spoiler about Benjamin Button. Sorry. I love that he
played with that.
he
as
played
a
with
tool.
it and wasn't afraid to be a little bit more emotional than he's ever been with it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's like the biggest thumbs up for this movie.
That was
is
the biggest
emotions.
thumbs up too. Is that it was actually like, for instead of just like a mind fuck or like a crazy cool story, it was literally just like. It made you go, I don't know how I'd feel in that. I don't know, and I'm going to think about it constantly.
And
so.
last plus I have for the movie is that Christopher Nolan's movies are always like 3 hours. They're always, Dark Knight Rises felt like 3 movies crammed into one thing. Too long. This, constantly entertained, had my attention the whole time. For me, had my attention the whole time,
Yeah.
wasn't bored, and when it ended, I was like, oh.
I was satisfied. I felt like that was a big part of it. It was like a little long, and then I went, but I was satisfied. It was also 169 minutes long, and it cost $165 million to make.
It's like $1 million a minute.
$1 million a minute, people.
Yeah. So it's
But
longer.
I would say go see it. I'm gonna say go see it. You know?
See it.
Go see it. Go see it. You'll be engrossed the whole time.
Yes.
And this is despite the beginning having a very big
Sexual
nod.
Oh, sorry.
A very big nod to Ken Burns' documentary, The Dust Bowl.
Yes.
And you're like, wait, Ken Burns is real boring. Why is Ken Burns in this? And then you're like, oh. I get it.
Oh.
Also, it's a weird thing because you go, oh man, our planet's totally going there.
We're all gonna die.
Go see it before we do.
Guys, thanks for watching New Movie Think Show. I'm Joe Beretta.
I'm Sam Basher.
I'm Lee Newton.
Bye-bye.
Bye.